Just going to kind of give some stats. We're in week 17. Most games have been played. Um, I think there's a couple left to go that still have some playoff implications. We'll check in on those. I think one of them's going live now. We'll see how that's faring. Um, but just kind of want to recap the season for the overall UFL season 35. This is our first season. This Madden. We'll see how it turns out. A lot of people still learning the game. A lot of teams still trying to figure out what they're doing. But the usual suspects are at top, and then we got a lot of new guys in that are actually making some noise. So this should be a really interesting playoff. So let's just go dive into the AFC. So the AFC had a really tight race. So the Raiders, who've won the most Super Bowls in the UFL, are on. And then we have a new player in the Dolphins who it's going to be very interesting to see how they come through. They're going to get a bye week with the Raiders, so they'll be fresh. Get a home game, waiting for one of the wild card rounds to move through. If we get this in the AFC Championship game, that would be amazing. Raiders and Dolphins, or even Chargers and Dolphins, or Chargers and Raiders. I don't know how that's going to play out, but any of those top three seeds, it's going to be easy. And then you got the Jags. Who are having a great season. They're in the playoffs. So let's just go through the AFC real quick. So AFC North, Ravens got it locked down. They're in no matter what. They can lose and be 9-7, and they got the division. Be interesting to see if they can make some noise once they're in the playoffs. And then the AFC South. This has been a heated battle between the Jags and the Titans. The Titans are on probably the hottest streak in the UFL right now after they got quarterback back. The Jags, if they win, they're in. If they lose, then it gets very interesting if the Titans win. So this division's still up in play. We'll see how that goes later on, but they're both in the playoffs. The last playoff spot, the Dolphins have this division wrapped up like we talked about earlier, the second seed. The Bills, who've lost some close games, have beat some good teams too, 10-6. So the Bills are just sitting and watching this last week game right here. If you go back up to the South, the Titans win, they're in. There's no playoff battle. Titans lose, then it's going to be a tiebreaker with the Bills. And I'm not even sure what the tiebreaker is. I don't think they've played each other. So it'd probably be, I think it's conference wins. So they've won 7 conference games. But who knows with Madden, right? And they've won 7 conference games. So wow, that is a tie there. I don't know what the next tiebreaker is. Maybe points scored. 405 versus 359, maybe. Who knows? But who knows what it gets, man. It could be alphabetical, then Bills get in. Who knows? It's going to be interesting. But if the Titans just take care of business and win their game, they don't got to worry about any of that. Let's go look and see who they play. I think the Titans play the Colts, and the Jaguars play the Texans. So this is all AFC South Division games. And these guys, none of these are easy wins. The Colts they're an up-and-coming team. They're going to make some noise next season. So this division is going to be even tougher than it was this year. And TJ at the Texans, he's always good. Don't let the record fool you. He's got a few lucky bad bounces going each game. Don't know how much motivation there'll be to win this. I know he plays hard every game, so we'll see. But that first-round pick overall is pretty enticing, too. You don't really want to lose that. You don't want to get guys injured as well. But this AFC battle is going to be interesting to see what it comes down to. The teams that are really sitting and watching are the Titans and Colts game, and you're going to have the Bills just sitting there waiting. They're going to go 10-6 and maybe not make the playoffs. That's pretty tough. Usually 10-6 will get you in the playoffs. Let's flip to the NFC real quick, and it's fairly similar to AFC. There's just one game really pending that matters. Vikings and Packers. This division is insane. I don't know who the winner is going to be. Let's look and see. It's going to be the Vikings. The Vikings are going to win the division because they got 4 wins and 2 losses. Unless they've played head-to-head and the Packers have swept them, which I don't think that's the case. So I think the Vikings have the division. Packers will be in the wild card round if my math's correct, but who knows. NFC South, this was a crazy battle with the Panthers and the Bucks. Panthers looked like they were in the driver's seat coming out in the last game of the season and just couldn't do it. They got beat. It was a big game, and now the Bucks are chomping here. It's thinking they got a shot if they win. they're in the division. They win the division and they go in the playoffs. And then that's going to bump the Panthers down to a potential wild card round. If the Bucks lose, which they're playing right now at Atlanta, and they're up 10-0. So right now, what quarter are they in? They're in the second quarter, about to go into halftime. So if that happens, the Panthers would fall down into the wild card run, which isn't good news for them because their tiebreaker is going to be with the Lions. We'll come back to that in a second. So the Lions are sitting down here at 9-7. The Panthers are going to be 9-7. We'll double check this, but I think the Panthers lost to the Lions earlier in the season. We'll go double check that. Check real quick before we move on. I'm looking at the Panthers, right? Yeah, they lost to the Lions, so they do not want to get in the tiebreaker with the Lions. But that's looking exactly like what's going to happen if the Bucks. It looks like the Bucks moved up 17-0. So the Lions right now are cheering the Bucks on at all. So that last season loss is going to really be tough. So if that stays the same, we got Vikings back. They're clinched. I think the Vikings win the division. The AFC South looks like the Buccaneers are up 17-0, but you never can count Atlanta out. They can score from all over the field. So we'll see what the second half turns out to be. But right now they're down 17-0. If that comes in, Panthers fall into the tiebreaker, and if Madden does it right, the Lions should be in. The NFC East, Eagles ran away with it. Cowboys collapsed. That's me, which I'm on like a huge 4-game losing streak. Sitting at 7-4 and ended up 8-7 and probably ended up 7-9. Elliott got hurt and he's like my only productive offense for the last few games, so we'll see. In the division, I'm pretty good. I've only lost once to the Eagles. The Eagles only lost once to me, but can't beat anybody else. Got to work on my passing game. In the NFC West, we got the Cardinals, who they're strong. So if we go look at the NFC real quick, the Cardinals are going to have that number 1 seed. The Eagles are going to come in right behind them, no matter what they do, I guess. Even if if the Eagles win, they could be the number 1 seed. If the Eagles win, that'd be 13-2-1, and if the Cardinals lose, it'd be 13-3. But if they both win, then the Cardinals are going to have that lockdown, and these other guys down here playing the Packers and Vikes. Tate played a lot of hours in this game. When you look at these guys who are winning, you go check out their time played in Madden. That's how you get better, is actually play the game. So I got to start working on playing it more to get better. But overall, this should be a pretty interesting playoff race. Let's take a glance at some of the stats real quick. I know the season's not finished. I still know a lot of guys are still playing, so it's not going to be final. But if we look at the stats, there's some interesting notes here to play out. So if you look at my offense, I'm ranked 31st. Terrible. Defense is ranked 4th. So the defense is really the only reason we probably got the 8 wins. But let's go look at the league stats. Nobody cares about my crappy Cowboys this season. Maybe next season we'll do better. We're sitting at 8-7 or 7-8. Would like to get there. 8-8 if I can. Let's go to the NFC. All right, passing. Newton put up the yards, but if you go look at ratings, that's what really matters. You got a few outliers from games that haven't played much, but Josh Rosen, he's the MVP of the league. This guy is killing it as a rookie, so he's going to be amazing after the season. And then Matt Barkley, of all people, is crushing it with Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay, actually, I played them a few weeks ago, and they're spot on. They don't miss their passes. They call good plays. They're like a machine. They're ready. They're in playoff form. And then the usual suspect, Derek Carr here, who's just killing it. 38 touchdown passes. That's insane. I think 4 or 5 with Dak. That's terrible. Mariota's doing good with the Titans. A.J. McCarron, he's not really got the yard, but Tannehill from the Dolphins, you see, and these good teams, they get Aaron Rodgers. These are all guys over 100 passer rating. Then it goes down to Cam, who doesn't look like they're going to make the playoffs after that meltdown in the last And you got Kirk Cousins here, Pat Mahomes for the Chiefs, but not gonna. That's kind of the usual suspects. Let's just take a glance at TDs. 38, 35, 33. That's crazy. Wow, all more than they have interceptions, and then the bad list of interceptions. Watson's got 63. Tom Brady's got 59. Garoppolo's got 44. Mayfield's got 38. Generally, when you throw that many INTs, there's Prescott's terrible 5 and 27. That's just sad. Rushing, a little better. We had a good rushing attack. Elliott's hurt. We brought him back this last week to try to get some yards to keep this lead for maybe salvage something out of the season. We'll see. Probably just give him a few carries. Don't want to do anything crazy. Maybe try to get 50 yards, and that might hold these guys off. If we can, we'll see. And then I think I played this afternoon. Touchdowns. We got Fournette, Gordon, and Jones and Elliott. So they've all got more touchdowns. Average per game. I guess Henderson had a great game, and then Tate never played him again. David Johnson, he's kicking it. He's only played 9 games. If he had played the full season, this probably would be a rushing leader. And then Elliott's just over 90, so nobody else. Everybody's around 75. And now receiving, definitely where we struggle. We have a rookie leading the league. This guy's fast, so maybe that tells you something. Maybe you just need fast receivers in Madden. He's got some good catching skills, too, so I'm sure he's getting XP like crazy. And Amari Cooper, who wish was a Dallas Cowboy, maybe next year I'll have him. These guys have scored how many touchdowns? 25 touchdowns for Corey Davis. Cooper's got 22 and 25 DJ Moore. Average yards per game. These guys are getting over 100 yards a game. That's pretty impressive. I think I've only broke 100 yards once all season with my receivers. And then this is huge, too. Average receptions per reception. When you get to these, Jordy Nelson, they're definitely going deep to him. He's got 1,000 yards, and his average reception's like 29 yards. So the guy's really pushing down the field. Good one. Let's go look at defense real quick.
I want my glasses.
Sorry about that. My kid barged in. That's all right. So we'll keep going. So look at sacks. Addison's number 1. Hughes. Njoku. And then my guy Lawrence and Hunter. Interceptions. This is where it's weird because it's all middle linebackers. You got Buchanan, who's just crushing it. 23 interceptions. It's just nuts. Wagner's there. Richard Sherman. The Eagles are really good on defense. I think that's it. Let's go look at some of the offenses real quick before we go. Team stats. So the number 1 most potent offense is the Packers, Raiders, Cardinals, Dolphins, Panthers, Titans, Vikings, and Eagles. So these teams are all playoff teams. That kind of makes sense. They'd be their number 1 passing team, the Packers. The worst passing team, the Cowboys. The best rushing team in the league is going to be the Vikings. Packers are number 2, so they got a potent offense. They can run and pass. Who's the worst rushing team? The Texans. So the Texans have the second the worst passing and the worst rushing, so they need some offensive improvements there. I think they had a lot of injuries this season. Points per game. Raiders 35 points. Texans 10. So you can see these teams. My Cowboys are only got 16 points a game, which is terrible. Passing touchdowns. The Cowboys are the worst team in the NFL. The Raiders are the best team in the NFL. Rushing touchdowns. At least here we're decent. But we're not even the top because we're just down there. But the Chargers got 2 great running backs. The Saints got plenty of running backs. Packers as well. The Texans only have 2 rushing touchdowns all season. Giants and Colts follow them. Seahawks as well. So you really need to be balanced. And first downs doesn't tell you a whole lot, but the Colts can get a lot of first downs. They got a pretty good team here. Just have a few mistakes in the red zone. Defensively, Chargers, Raiders, Cowboys, Vikings, Ravens. Really disappointing. My defense played lights out, but my offense is terrible. So the best team against the rush is going to be the Chargers, Ravens, Raiders, Vikings. But it looks the worst team against rush is the Packers, and they're going to be in the playoffs. So that's going to be very interesting. They must be just running shootout games with everybody. The best rushing defense is the Chargers. So they also have the number 1 rush, passing, and rushing defense. That's insane. The worst, Seahawks, Patriots, Rams, Lions. The Rams have a pretty bad rushing. Points allowed, Chargers. The Chargers are going to be the 3 seed too. But, man, their defense is really good. 74 sacks. Look at this Dolphins. 68 interceptions. Cardinals at 58. Raiders at 56. That's key there. Let's go look at turnovers, conversions, third down. These don't really tell you a whole lot because you don't know the situation they were in. Turnovers, this is probably the most key one. So they're positive 44, 39, 39. These are all playoff teams, of course. So the way to get to the playoffs is not have turnover differentials. You can see the teams that have the huge negative turnovers. So the Texans giving away the most. The Chiefs give away the least. Most interceptions have been the Titans. Fumbles lost. These are ones that hurt you. The Seahawks lost 12 fumbles. Takeaways, 76 takes by the Dolphins. Defensive interceptions, 68. Fumble recoveries. The Bills, these are hit stick guys. Everybody here, they hit the hit stick like crazy. So you got to be ready to hold on to the ball and use that right bumper when you play these guys. But overall, it should be interesting to see. Let's check in on the Tampa Bay game. So right now, Tampa Bay looks like they're winning. So they're up 20-0 late in the third, about to start the fourth. So unless we see a master comeback, that means the NFC is going to be set, and the Lions are going to get that last wild card spot. So that's going to be interesting to watch. And then in the AFC game, it's going to come down to the Titans. Let's go see who they play. I think they play the Colts, which that's never a gimme game in division game. You can ask the Panthers about that. They lost this week in a rough one. So the Titans do play the Colts. Let's see what happened last time they played. The Colts lost to the Dolphins by 17 points. Interesting. We'll see. Let's go. I think that... Oh, sorry. We're looking at the Titans. I'm crazy. They lost by 12 points, 14-24, 26. Don't know if that was played or not. It says 0. It says no force win. Maybe there's an even sim game, so maybe these guys didn't even play. That's disappointing if you have people not playing their games, because then you get down to these games that matter, and some guys that played their games could have lost. Guys that get the force win or the sim win, kind of tough to do. So that's it for the season. So I'm going to stop the stream here, and I'm going to add it back to my stream. I'm going to do a little Cowboys update later, but other than that, that's UFL Season 35. Should be an interesting playoff game. I'll try to give a recap once the playoffs get going. All right, I'm out.